Bushman. I'm not editing, it's live. Hi, welcome to Precious AU TV. It's always a delight to be with you. Thank you for being here. So it is a beautiful Tuesday morning, and we thought to look at things disturbing Nigerians. So I say, all the things that Nigerians they go through, make we even look at them, because if you look at social media responses, and by the way, Dr. Deji, good morning and thank you so much for joining me. So if you look at social media responses, like some social media users, they say, it be like say they give, some people they respond, say it be like say they give President Bola Ahmed Tinubu deadline, make you finish Nigerians for hardship. Because if you look at the way things are going, it's like there's a deliberate attempt to reduce, indeed, the purchasing power of Nigerians. It may seem like it was a mistake or a gaffe during the election period that was mentioned, but it's all making sense. Because what is with all that is happening in Nigeria, the fact that fuel, it is the price it is right now. Nigerians no fit buy fuel. Nigerians are practically crying to buy fuel. Because say not be saying, just see some people they buy fuel now between 1,000 to 1,500. Now say most of the filling stations also reduce their meters. As if that is not bad enough, the prices of everything don't increase. Of course, say fuel, they affect transportation, and transportation, they affect the price of every good for the market. As if that is not enough, there is also the likelihood that the Senate may pass the bill on the increment of VAT from 7.5% to 10%. In fact, we're hearing some gossips, or there are some rumors that has it that before June next year, that there is a likelihood that VAT may be increased to 12.5%. What is going on, if not to deliberately suffer Nigerians? Because these VAT, if imposed on companies, will not be paid by the companies. They will pass it on to their consumers, which is what? You and I, the average Nigerian.
Exactly.
As if that is also not enough. Farmers Association have come to say that the price of egg may hit 10,000 naira. That means there may be likely widespread of malnutrition in the country. All of this is what Nigerians have to battle with. And of course, there are other taxes. Have you also heard that for you to own a bank account in Nigeria now, you must have a tax ID? For you to operate a bank account. Oh, there is a new law now that will mandate you to have a tax ID for you to operate a bank account in Nigeria. Dr. Deji, these are all what Nigerians have to battle. And to bless the president for, putting us through all this, the House of Rep don't talk. Say, don't put thank the president for the good work they do. A sitting president, they won't give up a name a university after that. The Bola Ahmed Tinubu University of Languages for Nigeria. Dr. Deji, I hand over all these matters to you. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, for me, you see that the establishment of Bola Ahmed Tinubu University is in furtherance of a patronage system. It's a patronage network among the ruling elite, whereby they want to kind of like align among themselves. For instance, you will see that Oni of Ife built a statue for the First Lady, and
she donated 10 billion naira to them. Sorry for cutting you. Hey, but that money plenty.
10 billion, but wait,
that money plenty. One person,
what comes to mind is this money where they donate. Is it Remi Tinubu's money? Because the office of the First Lady is not an official office.
Okay.
So if you are donating 10 billion, the question is it your personal money? If it is your personal money, what is your net worth for you to be able to donate 10 billion naira?
Or your source of income.
So that means your source of income and your net worth itself. But before you can donate 10 billion, that means that you have so much money. So much money. And it is not only Remy, and even Sheyi.
Oh,
I don't know why.
Like the one way you donate from Medugri and Sokoto people there.
I don't know why all their names you see are 4-letter words. Remy, Bola, Sheyi, So the thing is, you see that Sheyi also donated 500 million when he went to this flood. This flood.
The Medugri victims.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to imagine that, like Dino Melaye said in one of the videos that I have on my phone, that Atiku, you can point to what Atiku is doing. He has a university, he has an Intel, he has secondary school, primary school, different kind of business. But then if you ask yourself, what is the business that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing? I don't know if there is, but it's not easy for people to easily point at it. So if your wife is now donating 10 billion naira, and the truth is, it's just a patronage system whereby they try to appear good. I give you another instance before I go into the context of that university itself. Aremo Olusegun Oshoba, the former governor of Ogun State, said that Bola Ahmed Tinubu must return for another year in office.
He said it's a must because it's a
yes,
Yoruba
because
son.
it is the Yoruba son.
Yeah.
Something. So you want to imagine that. Why would you want to trade the Yoruba people to further your patronage system with Bola Ahmed Tinubu? You can say, oh, I wish Bola Ahmed Tinubu continues as president. I wish Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or I urge Nigerians. So your statement should be persuasive, not a situation whereby you try to lord your will over people. But now, to the context of this Bola Ahmed Tinubu University of Nigerian Languages. First, let us look at the name.
Bola
Ahmed Tinubu University of Nigerian Languages. Thank God, this is not the normal TV, so there's time for
it. So there's time. And don't worry, I'm not going to take you honorable off your mind.
And the thing is, now, to not make it good, I'm an academic. Yeah. So if you look at it that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, first, let us look at how they name things after leaders. Naming institutions after leaders usually come when those leaders are no longer in power. In other words, they retrospect, they think back, and they think of what that leader have done. Then they will now name that particular institution to immortalize most times. Often when the leader is dead, and sometimes when the
in retrospect of his good leadership,
of what that person has done, why that person occupied public office. So you see that they usually do that to make sure that that leader is being remembered. But unfortunately, you will see that in this case, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the president. Rightly or wrongly, and you are naming a rightly or wrongly, because
any which way
we know we have an imperfect system, and if there's corruption in the education system, lecturers sleeping with students, if the police is taking bribe, if the health sector is not 100%, don't think that you have a perfect judiciary. The people in the judiciary are a product of the whole system of Nigeria. But that's by the way. The thing is, if you look at it, you will see that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you are now naming the university after him when he has just used a year and a half in office. All things considered, if Bola Ahmed Tinubu uses 8 years in office, if he does use 8 years in office, the implication of that is that Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be president, and the universities will produce a degree. Graduates of that university will be carrying a degree bearing the name of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that university was not built by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is not a private enterprise. That itself is corruption.
Oh wow.
That itself.
So naming the university after the president, bearing the name of the sitting president, when the university was not built with his own money.
Yes, let me break it down further.
Okay.
You want to build a university, and if the way the House of Representatives and the Senate, the way they already pass bills, you would see that if that is anything to go by, from the way they already passed, if that bill is passed, let's say give or take, by this time next year, the university can take off. On a lighter note.
But is there money?
Maybe
do we have that money? And should the University of Languages be a priority at a time
I'm going there.
when Nigerians are groaning? People are suffering.
No, I'm still going there. But I want to start from that's why I said this is YouTube. So there is a bit of time for me. You look at it that if you say Bola Ahmed Tinubu University of Nigerian Language, that means that by this time next year, if the legislature approves it and the university takes up by this time next year, Bola Ahmed Tinubu would have spent 2.5 years in office. If it takes up in the next 1 year and a half, Bola Ahmed Tinubu would have spent 3 years in office. Now, if Bola Ahmed Tinubu spends 8 years, more often than not, if he spends 8 years, That means that degree 4 years. That means that the student of this university, when Tinubu is still the president, will be carrying a certificate that is bearing Bola Ahmed Tinubu, University of Nigeria Language. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is still the sitting president. Go and check across the world, except if it is a private university that it was Bola Ahmed Tinubu that built it. But for a public university, for you to carry a degree bearing the name of a sitting president, that itself is corruption itself.
But,
because it's like,
is there anything
it's like Joe
in
Biden.
Nigeria?
Say
We
that
already
again.
know that we see anything impossible in Nigeria. We all know that corruption is already rife in this country. So,
Corruption is already rife, but then
so it's like you're preaching to the choir. You're already saying something that we know that is already in existence, that everybody knows about already. So
and the thing
what's
is,
the big
no,
deal? That's
it
what
is-
a lot of people will say.
no, it is a big deal because if you are doing it, it's like it is safe for me to steal the meat on your food when you are not there, if you have many meat, than for me to be bold enough to bring it to you while you are there, then I go and take. No, that is too much audacity. The ones that they are doing and we are not seeing, it's fine. So naming the university after Bola Ahmed Tinubu is wrong. For instance, they are great Nigerians. The woman that saved Nigeria during this Ebola, Adevo or something like that. Why can't the university be named after her?
His languages. She's not a
Is she,
language person.
no, is she not a great? Is Tinubu a language
She's
person?
not a language person.
Tinubu cannot speak 4 Nigerian languages, and Nigeria has over 200 languages. So why can't the university be named after her? There are a lot of great Nigerians that could benefit from it. So it is when the leader that thing can happen when you are the leader. For instance, if Goodluck Jonathan dies, they can name Federal University Otuoke and say, oh, Goodluck Jonathan University Otuoke, or Goodluck Jonathan Federal University Otuoke. That is how it is done. You cannot name a public institution after you while you are in office. So if I'm the president, I will reject it and say no. That if in the far future, if any administration finds me worthy, then so be it. Not that I will ratify the naming of an institution after me while I was still the president. And I'll give you an example. Ogun State University. Ogun State University was created during the reign of Olabisi Onabanjo as governor. Olabisi Onabanjo died. The Ogun State government, when he died, decided to name the university after him because the university was created during his time.
So to immortalize him.
Yes, and the university is now turning out graduates, is now helping the host community, and has now given the state a true state status of having an institution that can be called university. So that means that if Onabanjo had not created the university at that time, it would have been difficult now to create it. But because Onabanjo created the university, then the state now say, okay, let us use it to immortalize it. That is how it should be done. And why the rush anyway? I've said it on other.
But what is the idea behind the university?
No, I'm coming, man.
Is Nigerian language even?
I'm coming there. I've said it on another forum that why the rush? If you don't name a university after Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I can tell you for free that when Bola Ahmed Tinubu, anytime he dies, LASU will be named after him. Although he's not the one that created LASU, they failed to name it after Jakonde. That okay, Lateef Jakonde University, Lagos, which should have been the right thing, because to me, Jakonde is still the best performing civilian government. If you look at it, he's still. If you ask people that are older than me, they will tell you that Jakonde did a lot of things without making noise. But if you look at what is happening today, what is really their level of performance? So, Lagos State University, when Bola Ahmed Tinubu grows old and die, the truth is they will still name it after him.
So then why rush to build a university on?
So the question is, will 2 universities in the country be named after Bola Ahmed Tinubu? If there's a University of Nigerian language bearing Bola Ahmed Tinubu University, will Lagos State University also be named after? So why the rush?
So I want to find out. I want to find out something. There seems to be. I don't know whether na me or na my head, because it feels like say there's some sort of psychophancy between the House of Rep and the Senate. the legislative arm generally and the presidency. The other time we'll find out say the Senate president go represent the president's wife in an event. And the Senate president don't talk about over time.
Represent the Senate wife.
The president's wife. The president, the first lady. The first lady in an event. That is the leader of the legislative arm of government, representing the wife of the executive, who is not an official constitutional office.
Is this safe to assert that God's will, can we term it Tinubu's will?
I don't understand, because then right now, and then remember that the same house of the Senate had said that there is nothing that the president, anything that the president will, they'll give it a speedy response. And then the House of Rep now also told this like it's as if there is a subtle alignment between the House of the National Assembly generally and the House of the executive. How do they now go past that oversight function or carry out that oversight function that they should carry out? Because as it sounds now, by the time before you say Jack Robinson, see the way they use pass national anthem, they go don't pass that bill. See the way now we hear saying the 10% VAT, they go soon pass them. Before you say Jack, they go don't pass that 10% VAT. And only God know the kind suffer way they inside that 10% VAT people go suffer. Remember the first time it was introduced, Atiku mentioned it when they overheard it, when the person who advises the president on taxation mentioned it. Atiku mentioned it that they do it. They denied it, that they're not going to do it. Now we're hearing that the House of Rep is considering it before 2027. 2027 is just in 3 months' time, thereabout. And by the time they will pass it. What more suffering will Nigerians have to go through? There is also a bill right now seeking to make sure that every Nigerian will have a tax ID for you to function, to have a functional bank account. Now imagine the hardship that will cause for Nigerians living in the villages. For every account they operate, they must have a tax ID. That means you're taking taxes from Nigerians whom you're not even giving jobs to. Is it that we copy everything from the Western governments, but we never copy the good things they do for their citizens? Because I don't understand why we have to go through all this at a time when Nigerians are passing through severe hardship.
If we are copying the Western government, we should copy them rightly. The Western government, a sitting president will name a university after himself.
So we copy
the
the
legislature won't name the university after a sitting president. And another thing that gives me concern is if the old guys, if they are making mistakes, if the Tinubu, the Atiku, the Obasanjos are making mistakes, let us look at the sponsor of that bill, Benjamin Kalu, Deputy Speaker of Representatives. The way I'm looking at that guy, he should be in his 40s, right? If somebody as young as that can be making this mistake, then you want to imagine that who are the caliber of people in the House of Representatives. And I'll give you an example. For instance, universities are not boutiques. Universities are not football fields. Universities are an institution of learning. That's what universities are. And universities are created to meet the need of a society. Universities are created to conduct research, to address the pressing issues in the host community and the country itself. So you would think that when a university is to be created, why about, let us do some logical reasoning. What are the problems of Nigeria? If you so decide to name it after Tinubu, why about Bola Ahmed Tinubu University of Security Studies?
Because security is one of our greatest concerns.
What about, people are shouting hunger, hunger. What about Bola Ahmed Tinubu University of Agriculture? Doesn't that make sense? So that means that you are spending taxpayers' money to solve the problem being faced by the taxpayers.
To create an institution that can solve the problem.
Yes, universities are noble institutions. Universities are solution centers. But if you now say Bola Ahmed Tinubu University of Nigerian Language, you ask yourself, what is the relevance of Nigerian language? And please give me some moment at the local level and at the international level. Let me start with the local level. If we look at it, University of Nigerian Languages, by the scope of that means that it is only Nigerian language that can be studied in that university. If you study anything more than Nigerian language, you have watered down that degree. It's just as if you say University of Agriculture and they are studying computer engineering or computer science. For me, if I sit on a panel to determine an admission abroad and I see your degree that you are bringing a degree in computer science or geology from a University of Agriculture, I will make sure you don't get the admission, because that alone, the scope of your university doesn't align with your degree. So that means that even if you want to say university, you want to make it language, it should be Bola Ahmed Tinubu University of Languages. That means that in that university, Chinese can be studied. In that university, Spanish can be studied. In that university, Mandarin can be studied. What is the relevance of this language? These are international languages. If you hear Igbo, hear Hausa, hear Efik, hear Ibibio, once you come out from the shores of Nigeria, you leave the shores of Nigeria, those languages are practically useless. Let's be sincere with ourselves. For instance, I'm a Yoruba man. Yoruba language, maybe if you are lucky, the outskirts of Benin Republic, there are some Yorubas there. Maybe if you go to Ilorin, Edo, you find some Yorubas there. Outside that, if you enter plane and go beyond Benin Republic, the Yoruba language cannot help you. If you go to even ordinary Ghana or South Africa, Yoruba language cannot help you. So if you say University of Nigerian Languages, if you go there to study Yoruba, don't forget that Yoruba language is a degree course in some of the universities in Southwest. For instance, I went to OOU for my first degree. There they are studying Yoruba as a degree. So you now look at it that graduate of Yoruba language, where can they really make good use of that their degree? Maybe CNN, BBC will pick 5 or 10 of them. And don't forget that the 5 or 10 of them may not even be picked from Bola Ahmed Tinubu University of Nigerian Language. They may be picked from OOU. Go to Unilag, Yoruba is a course. Go to University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Igbo is a degree course. So that means that if the graduate of Nigeria, the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, decide during interview performs better than the graduate of Bola Ahmed Tinubu University, they will go for that person. So it means that at the end of the day, it is not a must that you must speak from Bola Ahmed Tinubu University. That said, now, if you say Bola Ahmed Tinubu University of Nigerian Language, in that university you cannot study Mandarin, you cannot study French, because the scope of that university is Nigeria. For instance, I have my master's degree in international relations from the University of Nottingham, and when I was about to write my dissertation, or if you like thesis, here they call it project, right? When I was about writing it, my professor then, Professor Trevor Papi, before, people would be rushing to the media to have a voice, to say, oh, give me time that I want to be doing a show on your program. Now people are rushing to the social with that. If people, the media, how many people, if you bring a Yoruba degree and you are not a Yoruba person, and you are still struggling with the intonation, will the media accept you? That is one. Two, the media themselves, especially these radio stations that are indigenous, don't forget that the big stations, the Arise, the channels, and of course the VOPs of this world, they speak English, not even Pidgin, English majorly. So that means that if you go and study any indigenous language, you're on your own. You're on your own. Maybe you end up in one local radio, and that local radio may not even have enough patronage to be able to pay the required salary. So what you see is some of these Yoruba radio stations, some of them employ people that have good accent, good Yoruba accent, and people that can speak some parables and some, eulogies and all that. So and they put them there. So you see that, for me, what is the relevance of the University of Nigerian Language when locally there's nothing, it's not like there's any prosperity in quote. You go to school to prosper. Right. There's no major prosperity in quote for me as a Yoruba man that will inspire me to say I want to go and study Hausa language as a degree. Right. Not secondary school, whereby in Igbo they teach us so that as kids or as teenagers we can know about other culture, whereby they teach us, iri ato, iri ano.
So Dr. Away from this university thing, so
there's no intelligence in the establishment.
So moving on to other conversations, do you believe that this conspiracy theory that the World Bank, perhaps an IMF, has mandated the president to remove all forms of subsidy and giving him a deadline. Because a lot of people are saying that there is a deadline to when the president must ensure the removal of all subsidies. Remember that the World Bank has stated this in the past. So it's not even a rumor that the World Bank could say that. Say maybe promote all subsidies. But now, then, we also they hear some rumors saying, be like say, it must increase all tax to at least 12.5, VAT to 12.5%. What will make the World Bank pick up that kind of thing? If truly that theory is correct.
Now to
and what will stand to gain?
International relations, international political economy, international diplomacy. Now, the World Bank can only give you a condition if you are owing them or you want something from them.
So what do they stand to gain with letting the people, if they're the ones asking the president to impoverish, whether impoverish or suffer his people?
No,
what do they stand to gain?
See, when you are going to them for loan, it is transactional. They will want you to do some things in such a way that they will know that it will be easy for you to pay those. So for instance, if you go to the World Bank and you tell them you need a loan, they will look at your income. When they look at your income, they will look at your past debt. Then they know that you cannot service this loan. You need more money. And one of the ways you can make more money is to ease some of the things you are doing for the people so that you can have more money in your pocket. So it is if Nigerian government is not going to them for loan, like I said, the World Bank will give you a condition if, number one, you are owing them or you have something you want to collect from them, then they will give you a condition. So if Nigeria is not going to them with begging bowls every time, the World Bank will not come up with that. But they know that you are coming, but you have no means of servicing this loan. So can you put yourself in a situation that you are in position to earn more money so that you can be able to service this?
You don't get my point. Remember that this same World Bank was, they also tried to persuade former President Muhammadu Buhari to remove all subsidies. He did mention to them directly that he cannot do that. Why would he do things that would impoverish his people? So he refused to remove the subsidies at that time. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into government. The first thing he did was to remove that subsidy. Could it be that he's playing to the gallery of at the IMF? Remember that the World Bank, the same World Bank, at the time he removed them, we would talk, say, we see they buy fuel 500 and something, and then still come back and tell Nigerians, say, you need to remove total subsidy in all energy sector. So now what make will lead to band A, band B, and of course there rumors has it that this whole band, what will they do? Everybody will end up being in one band at the end of the day. There will be total removal of subsidy from electricity, which is debatable. No, sorry for cutting you, because remember the Minister for Finance during Buhari tenure one time talk say we don't gradually comot subsidy from electricity. So if they gradually comot subsidy from electricity at that time through that report, why it be say we see they get this ban when they talk saying a gradual removal of subsidy again from electricity? There are lots of things that's not adding up.
Okay, comparing Tinubu to Buhari, let me pick it from there first. And Tinubu, Buhari are two different people, but you see, that's why nations are very careful about their leadership recruitment process. For instance, Tinubu is more vulnerable than Buhari.
Why is Tinubu vulnerable?
Yes, Tinubu is more vulnerable to the dictates of the Western countries than Buhari. And I'll give you an example.
Oh wow. So that means I'm not going to interpret and in English. That means they're likely to agree anything with Western countries talk.
Exactly. For instance, that's why nations across the world want to put people that has no skirmish or blemish in power. It's because you see the international stage is not a kind stage. It is a stage whereby
dog eat dog.
It's like I want to save money. Then we begin to negotiate. How much do you want to sell this your phone? Why should you sell this your phone? This is the amount that I have. At this phone, you get Wi-Fi, you get Bluetooth, and so no be. It's a rugged stage. It is not a kind stage. But when you now have a president that has, in quote, drug or no drug, you understand? Drug or no drug issue, certificate or no certificate issue. This is why I said Buhari is less vulnerable is that Buhari, what was in dispute was his WAEC. WAEC is with us here.
And we can't talk say we won't use never.
I'm coming. WAEC is with us here.
Okay.
But Tinubu,
International.
for instance, see, in the international relations and diplomacy, the Western countries, America has a lot of interest in Nigeria because Nigeria is the capital of the black race and Nigeria has the market. And some of the things that they will spend so much money to recycle or to trash, Nigeria has a willing second-hand market. So if Nigeria is not buying second-hand products, they will use money to trash all those clothes, all those shoes, all those microwave fridge. It is money to recycle or to trash them. But then, rather than spend money to trash them,
They push
it to us and even earn money. So that means that Africa is the vulnerable market.
Hi.
Now, what you will see is that in a situation whereby you now have a president that, see, it is not impossible when the case was going on, that it is what US government wants Chicago State University to say that they will say. The Chicago State
University.
This is
so if you say the US government, if you don't influence the decision of Chicago State University.
I'm talking about complex international relations and diplomacy. For instance, if multinational corporations, the Shell, the Texaco, the Total, the AG, if they can orchestrate the removal of a president, that they can orchestrate the removal of president, if the Western imperialists can orchestrate the killing of Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana based on the West Africa Power Project, that dream of power project that he has, if multinational corporations, mainly Shell, can orchestrate the execution of Kensaro Wiwa and 8 others with Ogoni 9, what is now, manipulating Tinubu that they cannot orchestrate? It's very easy. It is a give and take. It is a quid pro quo kind of thing. In fact, should I tell you the truth? If Bola Ahmed Tinubu truly has an issue, maybe a drug issue or something, if he presses button, well, there are some international lobbyists. The one that Atiku used when they said he can't enter America, it was a lobbyist, an American lobbyist, that he used to convince the American president that if you don't let him enter, that means that you have influenced Nigerian election. So for fairness, let him have access to America so that there can be a level playing field. Now that the election has been won and lost, it doesn't. I'm talking of complex international diplomacy here. Complex international relations and diplomacy. What Tinubu will need is to hire an international lobbyist. I was in Chicago. Maybe truly he used a fake certificate. Maybe he truly didn't graduate, because I've been doing a live stream before, and a man said that his brother graduated of Chicago State University at the time when Bola Ahmed Tinubu claimed to have graduated, and that his brother did not know him. Did not know Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Maybe it's true or not, I don't know. But the truth is that all Tinubu needs is to hire international lobbyists to lobby the US government that this election has been won and lost. We don't want something to emanate from you that will now deny my client the vote freely being given to him by the Nigerian people. What are your demands? This is international politics. Every nation has an interest, especially a blessed country like Nigeria. And don't forget that there was a time that Trump, invited Buhari. Do you think Trump is just so nice? He just wants to see Buhari's face, that he will say, Buhari, oya come? No, it is to kind of like agree on some certain things. In that case, the US will just take their demand that, okay, in that case, since he has already won the election and the university belongs to us, and it is what we say that will determine what will come out at the tribunal, can you give this and this and this and this and this to us? It's a give and take kind of thing. And because the man is already under pressure, he will be willing to say, is it to annex Nigeria to US? Nigeria will be an annexation of US. I agree. Because why? He's under pressure. That is why nations don't put people of questionable integrity.
Hi.
Questionable integrity. That you can even pose a question to their integrity. They won't allow you to be president. That is one. Now, to now go to the World Bank. The World Bank and IMF, they are speaking from both sides of the mouth. In the sense that you will tell African countries to go and implement policies that will make life unbearable for their citizens before you give them aids and loans. At the same time, you will monitor how those aids and loans are being used, because you know that it will be like a round tripping. African leaders will collect the money, and after collecting the money, they will bring the money into their country, and at the end of the day, use corruption to fleece the money back to the economy of the Western countries. Now, those monies, those billions of dollars, are not money that you can move in paper notes. It has to pass through an electronic system. So you ask yourself that, Mr. World Bank, come. Is it that you are World by name and sectional by operation? Because if you are a World Bank, then you should be able to liaise with other banks to be able to track those funds and make sure that if those loans are not used for what they promise that they will use them for, then why give them other loans? For instance, international NGOs, non-governmental organizations, they discover that the government of African countries usually don't use monies for what they promise that they will use it for. So the international NGOs now says that they would, instead of giving African countries the money, that some African countries should be suggesting the project for them. That, okay, suggest that, oh, borehole is needed in so place. Then they will use their money to build it and liaise with local contractors, rather than for them to give money to government to build those NGO. The implication of that is that you get more value for money. But the World Bank knows that these funds are being fleeced. But then, because the money is finding its way back to the Western countries, they have not taken considerable action. So, and you know that the institutions are weak. Some of these African countries, you can't even protest. So in a situation whereby you cannot even protest, you ask yourself that when you can't protest, why then are you giving money to government that the citizen cannot hold accountable? So can you take a step before the citizen call on God? You, World Bank, that is giving the money,
be their God.
Can you take a step to make sure that the right money is being given? For instance, if you come to me that, oh, Deji, give me a loan, I want to buy iPhone, and I approve a loan for you to buy iPhone, but at the end of the day, I'm seeing you with a touchlight phone, popularly called the Palasa, and later you are now coming to me that, Deji, please give me a loan, I want to buy a car. Should I not query you that precious?
The one I gave you before.
The one I gave you. How did you spend it? You said you want to buy iPhone. You are buying
Palasa.
You are buying Palasa. And another thing is, why isn't the World Bank advocating for global economic justice in terms of the terms of trade between the global north and the global south, which is between the Western countries and the third world, or if you like, the developing, or if you like, the peripheral countries? Why are they not advocating for economic justice? In the sense that, why is the World Bank not convincing countries like Shell to have a refinery in their countries of operations in Africa? Why is Shell
because they are
not having
a natural resources?
So that in such a way that when Shell have this refinery, there won't be a situation whereby Nigeria is giving Shell raw crude. It's just as if giving cocoa now. What is the value of cocoa that is being planted in your village? But when that cocoa turns to Bonvita, it's big money. So why isn't the Bretton Woods institution, the IMF and World Bank, why are they not creating a situation whereby the money is circulating within the countries of operation, by making sure that those money, that there is global, there's equality in the global terms of trade? Why is that not happening? So the World Bank is, you should stop speaking from both sides of the mouth. At one end, you want the government of a country to go and remove subsidy, and you know the income of these countries, the rate of development in this country, the strength of the economy of this country cannot absorb this shock, and you want those countries to go and remove the subsidy. When this country remove the subsidy, you will now be the one to even be warning those countries that you really want to be warning those countries that they should be careful in such a way that there won't be anarchy. When there are harsh economic policies, of course it's a recipe for anarchy in a country like Nigeria. So what I can say is the World Bank should truly be fair and not do as if they are saving us, but instead they are killing us rather than saving us.
Because in fact, the World Bank has often said that the one way we can move forward is to make sure that we remove all this form of subsidies that we have. But like you said, should they not also put things in place to checkmate the excesses of this African leaders? Should it not be a thing, like a mandate for the World Bank to put things in place to ensure that you checkmate how they use those funds, especially their profligacies? For instance, why do we have African leaders constantly seek medical tourism abroad as against their own countries? Why not also mandate them that these monies you're borrowing from us, make sure you use these monies to build world-class hospitals in your locations so that you too can benefit from it?
That's why I said the World Bank is speaking from both sides of the mouth, because
when so that means they're not built to be for the purpose of Africans. Is it that they're not built to better the lot of Africans?
The thing is, they are profiting from, for instance, look at it now. Buhari government wants to collect a loan, and the Buhari government used oil as collateral, knowing fully well that Nigeria operates a monoproduct economy dependent on oil. That means that oil is our main source of earning. So if you now use petrol as collateral, how will you now earn money? How will you earn money? So the World Bank should be looking at these African countries. If you want to go and collect money amounting to billions of dollars, I don't want to believe that the World Bank will just give you. No, there will be a needs assessment to say, what do you want to use this money for? What do you need in your country? So the World Bank should not just be giving African leaders loan and go to sleep, because that is what has been happening. They should begin to emulate the international NGOs in such a way that when loans are being given to African leaders, that particular loan is being used for what African leaders said they will use it for. And the cost of the project is already astronomical anyway. For instance, if a road will cost 200 million to build, African leaders will say they want to build it with 2 billion. Having collected the 2 billion, they still won't build those roads. So the World Bank should be kind. I think, should be kind to Africans in such a way that they would see that, oh, what is happening is that these countries are using this money for what they said they would use it for. But a situation whereby you just give out money and you are not putting things in place whereby the money will be effective, and these guys will still come again and you still give them money, you are impoverishing the country, and not just the country. The generation unborn, you are already making them a slave to your own upcoming generation or generation unborn as well. In the sense that we have slave trade, we have colonialism, imperialism. Now we have neocolonialism. By giving money that Nigerian government will not use for the purpose that they are supposed to use it for, and we are indebted to you, that means that you are already making our own upcoming generation or unborn generation, you're already making them a kind of slave. You're already making them like subjective to you, which in the true sense is wrong. So if you look at the international relations and diplomacy, the World Bank is doing that because it favors them, because this money sincerely eventually comes back to them by way of corruption. And if this money comes back to them and our unborn generation is indebted to them, definitely it makes us weaker than ever. And that's why I've said that the World Bank itself should be kind. The World Bank itself should be fair. The World Bank itself should make sure that money is being allocated, money is being distributed in such a way that this money are used for what Nigeria, Ghana, or any other country says they want to use it for. There should be a needs assessment. For instance, if you say that you need money for infrastructure because it is best to borrow money to provide, not for the current expenditure.
Yes, to pay
so
salaries
if you say,
and all
yes,
that.
if you say you want to borrow money to fix Lagos Ibadan Expressway, can World Bank please have people that will verify that has that road been fixed?
Because when you take loans from banks, bank will even send representatives to monitor you if you're saying you're using it for business. To be sure you're using it for the business you want to use.
Let us start from has that loan been fixed? Has that road been fixed? Before we now go to has that road been properly fixed? They are two different things.
Has that road been fixed is different from has the road been properly
because
fixed?
For instance,
so Dr. Deji, you've not told me anything. The bottom line, I'd like to know first of all.
No, I just want to use an example.
Okay, I wanted to be sure that are you trying to say that in all of this that there may be the truth behind the statement that it's likely that President Bola Tinubu is perhaps vulnerable to World Bank, IMF, and the Western world?
I have answered you by
deliberately to impoverish his people. That's the point I'm making. No,
you don't understand.
It's not about being vulnerable, but deliberately so to impoverish his people.
You don't get something.
Okay.
For instance, I've seen when you are under pressure, when your life is at stake, you want to protect yourself first. So if, for instance, if Bola Tinubu did not really graduate from Chicago, do you know what his lobbyists would have agreed on? Let's be sincere with ourselves. They said drug.
And remember that
he forfeited over $400,000 or something.
But remember that FBI and other agencies were to release some records. They refused to release
I
them
said
now.
United States is a country of records.
So how come they don't have the records anymore?
Do you know what is in that record? They will say they don't have it anymore if international lobbyists have played their part. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, wow.
And they will play it for free. Like I said, the international stage is not a church whereby you preach that love your neighbor as yourself. No, love your neighbor as yourself is a sin in the international stage. Love your country. Negotiate deals for your country. That's why you see that countries put their best man forward. It is not a tea party. It is not a kind
without skeletons in his cupboard
international
that they cannot use against
it is not a kind atmosphere. When people sit down and they are taking decisions about their country, you see young guys, you see brains, you see brilliance at its peak. Nigeria will not pick a Deji or a Precious that are brilliant. Instead, they will pick a Buhari that is already old and will be sleeping and snoring. And that's why they are you not scared that during Buhari time they said Nigerians are signing loans in Chinese language? Are you not scared? If that is the
they say some of the contracts that we even took during his tenure was written in Mandarin. So that means if you don't get a valid interpreter, you may not understand the content. Have you heard the latest gist now about Festus Keyamo, the review that he has made about the Nigerian airline issue? That the entire thing about the Nigerian airline states that 95% of the stake belongs to Ethiopian Air. They will do everything in Ethiopia by Ethiopian Airlines, including the major executives of the airline will be owned by Ethiopian Airlines. But guess what? If they encounter any losses by act of force majeure, so it will be Nigeria that would insure it, that will pay for it. Nigeria that has only 5% stake. And you're just wondering, how do we sign these contracts?
See,
what kind of people are representing us? Do they not read?
One of the problems is Nigerians doesn't read.
Goodness. It's embarrassing.
There was a time I was to renew my passport, not the recent one, the one that expired. And it was during the time of passport scarcity. So they said, at the Ikoyi office, that if you have a reason to travel, that bring it forward so that they can place on priority list.
Please, okay.
At that time, I had tickets, I had everything. I provided evidence of what I want to do abroad. The man said, write a letter. I want to use it to buttress your point. Africans don't need. That write a letter, attach all relevant documents. Oga for immigration. I returned home.
Laughing ahead of time.
I returned home. I on my laptop.
You didn't write letter.
Begin
As
to,
an academic that you
begin to say, this is what I want to do. I attached the ticket and everything. To my surprise, when I go to the immigration office, the man did not even read the letter. When he collected it, at some point he was speaking to someone. After a while, he just signed. And I was wondering that, oh my God. Do you know whether in this letter I wrote that by signing this letter, by attesting to it, you hereby agree that you are owing me 40 million naira? That's how you would have signed. I was wondering that if I put in the letter that, do you hereby agree that your wife and children hereby becomes mine by you
and they'll sign
appending to this letter? That's how you would have signed. Do you agree that your house that I have paid you in cash by your request that you said I should bring the money in cash, and by signing this, your house is now mine? That's how you would have signed. So what am I trying to say? That is how some night, you see, anywhere there's free money, anywhere we have people in government that they are not thinking about the country. They are thinking of how to buy house abroad. What is the thing of class among Nigerian political elites? Number one, your children must not be born in Nigeria. Must be born in a country whereby they will have alternative citizenship.
Dr. Didi, let me quickly let them know that they can call in to join the live. So if you're watching us, thank you so much. Kindly click on the subscription button if you can. And please, you can join in the conversation. You can call on WhatsApp 0817-029-4077. On WhatsApp alone, 0817-029-4077. That's the number to call. On WhatsApp alone, if you call direct call, you can't get that number. So just call only on WhatsApp 0817-029-4077. On WhatsApp alone. Kindly click on the subscription button. If possible, put on the notification button to enjoy this. Let's have your thoughts on this conversation, because it's really very difficult to believe that the president of a country will deliberately impoverish his people because he's vulnerable to the IMF, in fact, to the Western world generally. To what end? Can you not just end the vulnerability? Must you lead? Well, let's go ahead, Dr. Didi. Let me let you land.
Well, in Africa, if you choose not to lead, you are perceived as weak. And the people that would be the utmost beneficiary. For instance, there was a doctor in, I think, US or Canada. The video was circulating around that the doctor said he was contacted by a Nigerian politician who said he doesn't know, maybe Tinubu will last till 2027, or they will allow him to finish his tenure. That it's best that he does everything that is needed to be done now, so that at the end of the day, if he doesn't, you know that he has satisfied his and he's trying to buy this third house. Dollar is 1,006 something, and you have to change it to hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a house in US, in Canada. Now, if it is only one person, maybe it's okay. Maybe we can forgive him. But everybody is a thing of class. For instance, my mechanic Joseph living in the ghetto now. What is big boy? That I remember when I was younger, that there was a time there is baggy jean. Before baggy jean, there was Arabian jogger.
It's called Kabu jean now.
You know the trouser they call the Arabian jogger that they used to wear way back then. So and I said, what is big boy? He said, It's iPhone. That if you're in the, I'm going somewhere that if you're in the ghetto, say if you use iPhones, yeah, you're a big boy. I said, okay, but wait, oh, what kind of iPhone? He said, maybe from iPhone X. I'm like, wow. So that means that if I'm staying in the ghetto now and I have iPhone X, I'm a big boy. He said, that is big boy. To put it in context, what is big boy to Nigerian politicians? Your child born in the US, have alternative citizenship. Your child, school abroad. If that child is schooling in Nigeria, that school must have foreign name. British Academy, Lagos. British International College, Abuja. Canadian Institute, Lagos. It must have foreign name that in such a way that the school is being paid, the school fees is being paid. The police is doing the one that he can steal, that he can do. EFCC official, government houses, same. Governors, deputy governor. I'm not saying there are no good ones, but there are very few. Take it down to their commissioners, same. If MC Oluomo's child can have 2 child in US, you want to tell a commissioner for transport that his child should not be in US. If MC Oluomo, who doesn't equate to him at all, can have his child studying in the US, what do you expect from the commissioner of education, even the special advisor, senior special advisor? So you see that the leader, what is happening is that all of them, they want to feed fat from the public purse. And that's why you see that despite all this money, we are still borrowing. Even after borrowing, we are still borrowing. And the money seems not to be enough. If I can add this to it before you bought it,
that we have borrowed the oil that we are yet to
if I can add this to it before you bought it, if you say you want to remove subsidy, that means that I'm saying that, oh, Precious, you will see that the money that for me that, oh, Deji, a plate of food is 1,000 naira, but I know you can't afford it. Okay, because I know you can't afford it, Deji, don't worry. When you get to the restaurant, just be giving them 500 naira. I will be paying the extra 500 naira. The day you wake up and say, Deji, I can no longer pay the 500 again, it means you will have more money in your pocket, right? If you are no longer subsidizing electricity, it means you have more money in your pocket. So if you are floating the, it is well text. It's helping them. Maybe that one has been doing in the face. That means that they are stealing it.